The PSVR 2 feels like an awkward step in the right direction for Sony. With retail pricing that often costs more than the console that's powering it, is there really the software library to be able to support this kind of hardware? And more importantly, is that hardware actually any good? Those are the questions that we're going to answer today, and a few more, as we take a deep dive into the PlayStation VR 2. The PSVR 2 retails for £529.99, though a lot of the time you'll be able to get it on sale, especially around the festive season, at around £349.99. That higher price bracket puts it in this really awkward position. It's not quite as expensive as many of the PC VR options, but it's also not as cheap as the Quest 3 and 3S. That £349 price tag, however, puts it squarely in competition with the Quest 3 and the 3S. So while I'm reviewing this product, I will be doing so at that lower price point because it only seems fair. From what we know previously, the PSVR 2 is going to continue to be at this price, especially around the festive season. In the box, you're going to get everything that you need to get started. Obviously, you're going to get the headset itself, all of the cables that you're going to need to get started, all of the manuals, and 2 sense controllers. If you buy the bundle with Horizon Call of the Mountain, that will be a digital code in the box. Sadly, there's no physical releases here, and it is sort of a shame. In typical Sony fashion though, the unboxing and presentation experiences were impeccable. Touring the headset, it feels very similar. It's taken many design cues from the PSVR 1. On the front of the headset, you get 4 monochrome cameras. These are both for pass-through and for the tracking. On the underside of the face panel, you get somewhere to power on the device, and along the top of the device you have a button to be able to release the front of the headset, pulling it towards and further away from you. This is to help people accommodate for glasses and to help get the best visuals out of these beautiful displays. You also have a little wheel for IPD adjustment. I actually prefer this to something like the Quest 3S, which has 3 or 4 set zones for IPD, because though many people will fall within one of those 3 or 4 ranges, being able to have a dial to properly dial it in is absolutely necessary, I feel, for a good VR experience. On the face panel you get a lot of rubber ceilings. This is to help the headset conform to your face and feel nice and comfortable, especially in longer play sessions. Personally, I found the nose piece to get in the way a little bit and was actually more uncomfortable than some of the more sturdy options that you'd get with the Quest. I totally understand why they did it, I just feel like it was a little bit too intrusive, especially around the bridge of my nose. You've obviously got the lenses here, but we'll come back to those later. Let's continue the tour of the rest of the headset. Looking around the side, you have a place to sit the earbuds which come within the box. And on the back side, you have a dial to be able to adjust how the headset sits. Pushing it in and pulling away is a quick release mechanism, whereas twisting it will click in and help to really sit the headset on your head comfortably. Getting a comfortable fit was super easy. I just wish finding that sweet spot with the displays was a little bit easier, but I'm getting ahead of myself there. The underside of the band is where you'll find the connected USB-C cable. This is both for power and for all of your delivery of the VR games. Coming from standalone headsets like the Quest 3, 3S and 2, the cable I found simply just got in the way. I get why Sony did it though. The cable allows for much higher fidelity gaming and lower latencies as well, but it just reminded me how much I hate having a cable in virtual reality. Also on the bottom here is a place for the headphones. These come in the box and can be connected to the side of the headset when not in use. They're pretty good as earbuds go. They have a nice amount of bass and treble and are pretty clear. However, if you want the best of the best audio, I'd recommend using something like a pair of Bluetooth headphones with this. Let's talk lenses though. In here we've got Fresnel lenses. These are the same as what you'll get on the Quest 2 and the 3S, as opposed to something like the 3 which uses pancake lenses. Personally, using pancake lenses, I don't think I could ever fully go back to Fresnel lenses. There is absolutely a sweet spot to getting the perfect kind of visuals from these kinds of lenses. With pancakes, you can almost wear it anywhere and you'll get a really nice clear image. The OLED displays, however, are incredible. These things are super high resolution, coming in at 2000 by 2040. This makes in-game visuals look sharp and crisp for basically any game that you're playing. Games such as Call of the Mountain are genuinely stunning, and the power of the PS5 and that internal cable means that you are going to get some of the best looking VR games I've ever tried, even coming from PC VR. Around the outside of the lenses, you've actually got even more tech. There is actually some tracking rings to allow for eye tracking. Primarily this is used for foveated rendering. Basically it will work out where you're looking, and it will make that part of the image incredibly sharp while blurring the outside, because naturally your vision is more blurred the further away you get from the focus point. This was something that I couldn't practice and couldn't test because obviously my eyes are wobbling, you've probably noticed by now. So tracking just didn't work for me. I've been told that it is very, very good though. I'm sure if my eyes would take it, it would work brilliantly here. And it definitely helps to really give you some of the best visuals because you're really focusing your processing power on exactly where you're looking. Something else that definitely adds to the immersion of the PSVR 2 and is a bit of a party trick is the haptics. There is haptics in basically everywhere on this headset, from the controllers to the back of the band to the forehead. This was really prominent in Call of the Mountain. The first few moments of the game, you're kind of going along a river in a boat, and you'll have the machines flying overhead or coming really close to you, and you can feel the headset really rumbling both on the back and the front. It genuinely does add to immersion, and I think more headsets should start adding this feature in the future, because quite honestly I haven't felt immersion like it. Before we talk about the controllers though, I do just want to say that if this is the first time that you're seeing my face on your screen, then 1, lucky you. And 2, go down there, hit that subscribe button, smash that notification bell so you get notified every time I upload. Anyway, let's talk about the controllers. These are the Sense controllers. The design on these controllers is an odd one to me. Coming from the Quest 2's tracking rings, this is that idea but on steroids. You basically have a whole orb around your wrists. This does lead to some incredibly strong and solid tracking throughout my experience with the headset. But it felt bulky and, quite honestly, was not the most comfortable controller that I've ever used. They feel sturdy, all of the buttons have a nice haptic push to them, and of course, being a PlayStation 5 product, they also have the adaptive triggers, which come in handy when playing first-person shooters. I think my major complaint with these controllers is just how bulky they are. These rings feel incredibly unnecessary, to the point where I actually found that I couldn't properly turn my wrists without bashing them against the tracking rings on the controller. Setup is a breeze. Because it's only the one cable, you're simply going to plug it into the front of your PS5 console via the USB-C port and follow the on-screen instructions. This is a far cry from the PlayStation VR 1 setup, which required a breakout box, about 3 HDMI cables and God knows what else. This ease of setup and use is definitely lowering the kind of bar of entry and barrier to entry for VR, and I think this might be VR for the masses if you already have a PlayStation console. Now the setup's all complete, let's talk about games. Sadly, to me, this is where the PSVR 2 falls down. The majority of the games in the catalogue are games that can already be played on the Quest 3 and 3S. Sure, they will be visually downgraded because they're running on a mobile chip, but quite honestly, they are cheaper on that platform, and you probably won't notice an enormous amount of difference, especially during longer play sessions when you're fully immersed in the world. That cable really is a deal breaker to me because though they give a higher fidelity gaming experience, it just tangles me up and gets in the way and almost breaks my immersion a little. The games that are exclusive here are games like Call of the Mountain. They are an amazing experience and I've never played anything quite like it. But it's about a 6-hour campaign, and after that you really don't have much of an incentive to continue to buy games, and because there's just nothing that's a PSVR exclusive, outside of perhaps Gran Turismo. Tracking here is absolutely rock solid. Genuinely, I never had this controller or the headset ever stop tracking or jump while tracking. Coming from something like the Quest lineup, the tracking there can be a little funny sometimes. Not so the case here, and I'm genuinely impressed by just how well it manages to track, even in lower light environments. The pass-through and setting up of the environment around you is very reminiscent of that of the Quest 2. You point at the ground and draw your outline. The black and white pass-through is definitely not going to win any awards, and it's not a mixed reality device by any means, but it's enough to be able to understand your environment and perhaps read some text on your phone if at a stretch. But honestly, it's really not what it's built for. This is purely a gaming device. I think if I'm being completely honest here, I wouldn't recommend the PSVR 2. Both as a standalone headset for the PlayStation 5 and as a headset for the PC VR side of things. The library on the PlayStation 5 just isn't enough to draw people in. You can get these games cheaper elsewhere and they tend to run better on the Quest anyway. And if you're moving over to PC VR, there's been a ton of issues with driver support, laggy controllers, and God knows what else. There are better options on both the untethered and the PC VR side. This feels like an odd middle ground where if you already have a PlayStation 5, this might be a brilliant option for you, especially at that lower entry price. If there was more exclusives and greater support for the headset, then perhaps it would be a different story. But right now, I just can't recommend it to anybody. Anyway guys, what do you think of the PSVR 2? Why don't you let me know in the comments section down below. And of course, while you're down there as well, get subscribed, do all of that good stuff. Comment as well, because it really does mean the world to me. Anyway guys, my name's been Robert, this has been Bite Size Clue, and I'll catch you in the next one. Adios.